you ready to master the waves of medical device product development? Well, wax up your surfboard because you are listening to Inspired by Imua. And here is your medical device product development expert, that Hawaiian hearted hostess who will help you hang 10, Meghan Alonso.
And aloha! You're listening to Inspired by Imua, where we help you master the waves of medical product development. Each week, we interview guests that educate, guide, and inspire to give you and your product the skills you need to hang 10. If this is your first time listening, Imua is spelled I-M-U-A, and it's a Hawaiian word. It means to advance forward with passion despite rough waves. There are plenty of those in the medical product development industry, but keep listening because we've got you covered. And I just wanted to say it's been a year now since I started, and a year of podcasts. And so to celebrate that year, I'm bringing on a special guest today. But before I get to that, throughout our conversation, we're going to talk about a program I have called Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So if you haven't heard, this is a virtual pre-accelerator that I have that's meant to get you to a point where you're a fundable business in 100 days. And if you're out there, if you're going to pitch competition after pitch competition and you're not having much traction, you don't know why, this is the program for you. This is also the program for you if you're just starting out and you need some guidance going through the process and getting started. And later on in the conversation today, we're going to talk about how important market research is, market fit, finding out if your customers will buy your product and what they'll pay for your product. And that is so important. That's the backbone of this program, Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So if you want some more information, the best place for you to go is actually imua-services.com/3 ways. That's a free training I have that kind of leads into Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So if you get value from that, I know you'll get value from the program. So let me introduce my guest. I met him about a year ago when I was first designing Invention Idea to Profitable Product. So he got the inside scoop on everything. This was before I had anything. I didn't have any videos, any exercises or checklists. I was sending him Word documents of things I had collected and put together and resources for him. And he has made some major strides in this past year. So as of this recording, yesterday, he just started taking pre-sale orders for his product, and he's already in manufacturing. So I am so pleased to have Mr. Aaron Hardin on my show. Aaron, are you ready to hang 10?
Absolutely. How are you?
Good. Okay, so give us a little more into your background. Tell us, first of all, and Aaron's company is Hardin Scientific, and he's the CEO and founder. And tell us more about how you started Hardin, and also what did you see out there in your day job that you thought, hey, I can make a difference. I can do this better.
Yeah, absolutely. So, getting into all of this, you always have that little inkling, like, oh, I want to do something. I want to do something bigger or whatever. And you have like these visions of grandeur, and you think that, okay, well, I'm going to create this product, and these people are going to love it, and they're going to come and buy this product and everything. And as you get more in the trenches, you find out that that's not exactly what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into this industry, and I saw this problem. And I start like problem solving, like, okay, well, how can I solve this problem? How can I create something that people would want to buy?
So tell us what the problem is that you saw just on a daily basis.
Yeah, so laboratory cell culture incubators, well, those specifically, but largely all of the equipment that a lot of these researchers are using, it's largely stuck in the 90s. So they haven't had major technological advancement, with exception of what is directly under the microscope. So like your DNA synthesis, and they're making some advancements in that area, but a lot of the other equipment has kind of been left behind, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And when it breaks down, it really derails the entire operation of these research companies.
And you saw that on a daily basis with your clients that you were serving, right?
Yeah. So the people that I would go to, they would be on doing this absolutely amazing research on like different methods of treating cancer, different ways of diagnosing different diseases. A couple of them, like they do like pancreatic cancers and stuff like that, and they would. They wouldn't call me as a technician unless they generally had a problem. And then I would show up and they would pretty much tell me how like their equipment was like it was imperative that it gets back up and going because they're depending on it so regularly. And a lot of the time it's pretty simple stuff that could have been avoided if they did proper maintenance or if they knew some of the things that I know about the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I wanted to develop something in which would be able to tell them if something was going slightly awry or something in advance. And so that's kind of where I started. And then as I continued testing the market, we'll go back to that statement I said earlier that you want to build something that people are willing to buy. That
Yes.
right there is the biggest thing. It's called market fit. I'm sure many of your listeners know about that, but essentially what you want to do is make sure that your solution is solving a problem that your customers are willing to pay money for, not that you're creating a problem for your solution, which is kind of putting the cart before the horse, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you may be able to hear a superstar in the background, little Lincoln. And so I'm going to interject here real quick. At life as an entrepreneur can be hard regardless, especially if you have a family and a little one at home. So tell us kind of how personally you have worked that into your life in that way. So making sure that you're still present and there for your family and doing your day job and building up your own company, because I know that's got to be tough.
Yeah. So as a father, as a husband, there's things that make a startup a little more difficult. I mean, some people that are starting companies, they're fresh out of college or they're sometimes still in college, and sometimes they actually have their life underway a little bit more. And I've heard from several people saying that you just have to go for it. You just have to like put everything on the line. But when you have a family, you can't necessarily do that. And so, a rule of thumb that I've always went by, it was actually recommended to me by a pretty good friend of mine called his name was Matt Better, but he said always keep your foot on second, which means make sure that you're able to take care of yourself, and then you put all of your other available time into what you're doing. And so in my case, keeping my foot on second was making sure that I was going to be able to provide for my family. And so that meant keeping a day job while I'm building this company, which is extremely difficult. It slows you down a lot because the amount of time you have is pretty much halved. But on top of that, I had to balance my personal life on top of that. So making sure that I was present in my son's life and enjoying his life as much as enjoying this part of my startup. So yeah, it's definitely a balancing act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I know when we first met, I was gearing up and actually building my Invention Idea to profitable product program that people are in now. And I remember I hadn't even had anything formally done yet. And I was just sending you like, hey, go read this, go check this out. Here's something that you can look at. And I think that was kind of the start of where you started to pick up momentum. So tell us, like you said before, that you had this idea 3 years ago, but then in this past years where you've really had the momentum. So looking back, when you first got started, what was the difference? Kind of what were you doing then before we met and you kind of took that material and ran with it?
Yeah, so failure analysis and market analysis. So I've been compiling over 30 years of my day job's research and failure analysis into this product. So I've been distilling that down, finding out specifically what aspects I need to build into my equipment in order to address those needs. But market analysis is probably the most important. So that's where you find your market fit, and you have to ask. You have to so if I talk to you and I say I have an idea for a product and this is my product, what do you think about it? Then you may tell me some good feedback. You may tell me that you like it or something like that. But you have to be able to dissect those conversations and find out not just what they're saying about it, but the unspoken truths that they're giving you about it. And that's once you dial your product down to the point to where people are willing to pay for it, then that's where things start really taking off.
Hmm.
So the majority of that time is finding out specifically where is my market fit, and then once you have that answered, you say what's the next problem? What do I need to address next? And like you said, when you were first starting out, like you were giving me a lot of material, and a lot of it was extremely beneficial. But at the same time, there's always going to be something that you need right away.
Yep.
So you need to constantly ask yourself that question: what do I need right now at this point in my development? And largely, I think we talked about this a second ago before we started recording, but when you're going through this process, I don't care if you're trying to bootstrap or if you're trying to raise money, because I bootstrapped unintentionally. Uh, but get an investor that knows your market, befriend that investor over coffee or something like that, and talk to them about your product, your intentions, and then let them de-risk it for you. So they'll tell you all of the things that you need to be looking out for, all of the things that you need to address before you can raise money. And it's no coincidence that those things that they tell you to do is exactly what you should be doing with your business at that point in time.
Hmm. Yeah, and you bring up a great point with bootstrapping, and I am a big advocate of that too. And throughout the Invention Idea to Profitable Product program, I teach that, like, hey, at this point, this is what you can do yourself. This is the market research that you can go out and do yourself. And I'm so happy that you said that is the most important part. And a lot of people end up skipping that, and they want to move forward with the exciting parts, and they don't want to go out and talk with people about their product because they're afraid of someone stealing their IP. But it is really beneficial. And one thing that I think was great for you is that you had a relationship with your customers already. You know, you could go into the lab and you were there every single day. And, you know, what I want you guys listening to pick up from this is this has taken Aaron a long time to build, and he was in the lab every single day, just extracting this information and putting everything together, what his customers wanted, what they needed, and then ultimately what they're willing to pay for. So it does take a lot of work, and it's a lot harder for someone else to do if they're not already working in that environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Starting with something that you're already doing, or something. I believe I'm not sure who mentioned this, but getting into the industry is probably the first step. So getting in, figuring out what the landscape looks like, and then you can assess everything from there. And it just so happened that I was already in the industry, and I started capitalizing on the opportunity that I saw there.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the hardest thing that you've had to face throughout your journey?
Largely, I would have to say that's the roller coaster. So, and people have mentioned it before, but you'll be cruising along and you'll get this opportunity, and you'll pretty much say to yourself or your loved one, it's like, man, this is such a huge opportunity for me. It's going to be so good for me. And then you go and you take care of all of the things that you need to take care of for that opportunity, and then it's potentially not as huge of an opportunity as you would have wanted. And so I'll use an example, going and talking to an investor, and like in the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, this investor is going to give me all of this money to be able to start my company and everything. And then you go and you talk to them, and they kick you back. They say, come and talk to me when X, Y, Z. And so you kind of get down in the dumps about that, and that's kind of hard to deal with. But then at the same time, what they gave you is gold. What they
Uh-huh.
gave you is, this is what you need to be doing in order to make this company profitable. Because an investor isn't going to give you money until they know that you're going to be able to make money. So, I mean, there are some exceptions. So some angel investors, like they'll see the potential or something like that in you, but largely they want to de-risk the situation until you're either in revenue, you either have such strong IP that you're pretty much untouchable, which is ridiculously expensive. You'll probably never get enough IP to be untouchable.
Hmm.
But I'm not saying don't get IP, don't get protection or anything, but I'm saying make sure that you're not putting the cart before the horse again and saying, when I get all of these patents, then people will start giving me money, because that's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah. So speaking of just the roller coaster ride, and I think that's entrepreneurship in general, whether you're building a product or you own a franchise or someone like me that owns a company, we all feel it. And what has been your saving grace? Like, do you come home and you just really rely on your family and you just say, like, I had this rough day, and they're your support network? Or do you talk with friends or mentors, or how do you get through that?
I think as entrepreneurs and CEOs and everything, everyone needs to have a toolkit of things that they can do to pick them up. I am one of the fortunate few entrepreneurs. Well, I guess I won't say one of the few, because I'm not too aware of all of the other entrepreneurs. But when I come home and my son says hi to me and everything, it's like all of the stress just kind of melts away. So that's really kind of an escape of mine, is to spend time with my family.
Hmm.
But then sometimes it'll be like a specific artist or something like that I'll listen to on the radio, that'll really help me unwind. And then other times, like I'll go on the internet, and I'll build one of the Tesla Model S's or something, and it's like, man, like this is such a beautiful car. I might have one of these one day, just kind of that positive affirmation.
Uh-huh. That's good. So if you were to give any advice to someone just starting out, like they just have an idea for a product, what's the most valuable thing you could tell them?
Network. People say this time and time again. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is so true in the world of business. So if you were to try and go out there and read every book, or absorb every bit of information and literature that you could about starting a business, then you're going to get pulled in so many different directions. Whereas if you actually get out and you start networking, you find people that have been where you are or where you're going. You not just with mentors and stuff like that, but also with potential customers. You go and network with them. Then what you're doing is you're building yourself a support net. And so all of the questions that you may have will be a text message or a phone call away. So investors are huge resources. Someone once told me, Shiv, actually, one of my mentors, he told me, if you want money, go and ask for advice. If you want advice, then go and ask for money. So keep that in mind. If you're going and you're talking to an investor and you're asking them for money, then they're gonna tell you exactly what you need to be doing before they're willing to give you money. And then if you go and you talk to an investor and you ask them for advice, then as you work back and forth, they're going to get to know you. They're going to get to understand what you're doing, and they're going to learn to trust you. And you're going to build that support network. And then at some point in time, they're more than likely going to say, you're onto something here, and I want to help you succeed. And that is where the real successful relationships come in whenever you're talking to investors.
Hmm. That's good. So tell us, your first manufactured product will be live soon, and you've already started taking pre-orders. Tell us more about that and how you arranged. I remember talking to you when we first met, and you really wanted to manufacture in the US, and you've done that, and you've just been so impressive. So tell us more about the upcoming launch.
Yeah, so whenever I was going through with this, I was trying to cold call potential customers and like try and find out what they were doing, if it would be something that they would be interested in, get letters of intent and all of that stuff. And then I kind of pivoted and I decided that I would go where my customers are going already. So I started working with several dealers that's already distributing laboratory equipment and
Mm-hmm.
everything because my customers are already going there when they needed to purchase equipment. And so instead of me trying to sync up with their buying cycle, a buying cycle is another huge one that you need to research when you're talking about your market research. But instead of me trying to sync up with their buying cycle and find my customer when they're trying to buy equipment, I could go to where they're already going and I could reach them there. So it pretty much does half of the work for me already.
Yeah.
And until I can establish myself as being that go-to source for them to come to when they need to purchase something, going through the dealers is definitely the way to go. But yeah, we were live to market officially yesterday. So woot woot.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and we're going through all of the necessary regulatory and accreditations and everything to begin shipping all of this product. So our official launch is going to be in September, and then we're going to start shipping product right, I believe, the month after September.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So the month after September, we'll start shipping product.
Yeah, that's amazing. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's been a battle. It's you definitely have to be a miracle worker to start something like this from scratch.
Yeah, and just have the determination to keep going even, even when times get really hard and it doesn't seem like it's going to work out.
Hmm. Yeah. So just to put in perspective what being a miracle worker entails, you have to find your solution and your market. You have to build a team. You have to build your solution. So you have to build your product or whatever, and then you have to start selling that product and everything. You have to start getting traction in the market, and all of that before and intellectual property, and all of that comes before most investors are willing to even touch you. So um, all of this stuff you're pretty much having to will into existence. Getting people to work for you for free it's not very easy, but when you're onto something that is going to change lives or make people more efficient or productive at what they do, then there are people out there that are willing to support you in that, that
Hmm.
are willing to put in the sweat equity to help you bring your vision to realization.
So speaking of building a team, how did you start that process? And did you have any money at that point and you were paying them, or you did convince them to work with you for free?
Yeah. So
Well, I shouldn't say for free, for equity.
well, some of them are free, some of them are equity. Some of them like do the work up front because like you have a personal relationship with them, and they say, "Oh, well, if you ever make it big, then you'll pay me back one day," or something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've always known that I was going to be an entrepreneur, that I was going to start my own business and everything. So I've always been networking. So every time I meet someone like over drinks or something, or if I go to a college party or something like that, when I was growing up, because I did that once. When I met someone, it was always like I got their name, what they were doing, and what their passion was. So what they wanted to do with their life, and those are the people that I reach back out to. So and so said that they absolutely loved creating like software, like something that was state of the art or something. So I would call that person up and I would say, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" And sometimes they would have a successful job or a successful career or whatever, and sometimes they were doing something they didn't really want to do. And I was like, "Well, I have this idea. How would you like to come and help me work on this idea? It may turn into a complete flop. We may get nothing from it, and you always have to be upfront with them and tell them that
Yeah.
you can't necessarily guarantee anything. But if they help you bring it into realization, then it could potentially be very profitable for both of you. And so, like those largely friendships and people who you already know are your biggest assets.
Hmm. Yeah. And you're growing your team right now, aren't you?
Yeah, right now there are five of us that have been working on this. It was two of us from the very beginning. It quickly, like once you start making more traction and you start establishing yourself, then some of the people, it's a little easier for them to go ahead and join your team because like there's something tangible there.
Hmm.
Like when I incorporated, I was then an entity. So like people weren't just like helping me out with a favor or something. They were helping to build a company. And yeah, so there's five of us right now. And when we start scaling up manufacturing, we're going to be hiring 14 people very, very quickly. And then yeah, the sky's the limit, depending on how large the demand is, because you always bet conservative, and
Yep.
then depending on how high the demand is, determines how fast we're going to have to scale.
Yeah. So, how long does it take each unit to be built? Like, if that demand really skyrockets, can you fulfill orders quickly?
Yeah, so when we get all of the capabilities, because largely our devices, uh, the way that I built it so that it can largely be contract manufactured. So I can send prints off to, for instance, a metal fabricator, and I can say, make me 1,000 of these parts, and then they say, okay, well, we'll begin shipping in 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. And sometimes, depending on the part, you can have as much as a 3 month delay before they can start shipping product to you. So that's something else that you're going to have to figure out. But having it to where I can have contract manufacturers that are already established build these parts,
Hmm.
then I can have all of those parts shipped to my manufacturing facility, and we can have a single engineer assemble one unit in an 8-hour day. So if we have a team of 14, then we can build 14 units a day.
Yeah.
But because of our product and because of the solution that I'm creating, we do roughly 1,000 hours of testing on every unit before we will ship it to a customer. Because uh, going back to the solution that we're solving, I don't want that equipment to fail. So I want to make sure that it is top of the line before I put it in my customer's hands.
Hmm. Yeah. So, you have to have that in place. Or then you've got a service business too, where you need to go out and make repairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, largely that would be I would have to be paying someone to go and fix that unit,
Yeah.
and I would be that would be coming out of my profit margin probably.
Hmm.
But yeah, it all goes back down to that solution. I want these laboratories, just to put into perspective, one of their experiments may take 18 months. So if that fails, then that means they have to start back at square one and start that experiment. Like, and it's going to be another 18 months before they're going to be able to get their results. So
Yeah.
yeah, so if one of my units fail, then that's a potential drug or therapy that is going to save millions of lives. That's going to be delayed another year and a half before they can start bringing it into to trial and everything. So I don't want to slow that process down. I want to enable and empower these scientists to be able to create and discover endlessly. I don't want them to have any restrictions, and I don't want them to to rely on faulty, obsolete equipment anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, good. Thank you so much for talking with us, and tell us how people can get a hold of you. And if they're interested in learning more about Hardin Scientific, where should they go?
Yeah, so largely you can go to my website. It's really easy. It's hardinscientific.com, and that's spelled Hardin. So you can go there. I have a contact me link, so you can. I'm pretty sure it sends it directly to my email right now. So yeah, you can do that. Otherwise, my business line is 858-256-6171.
Wow, there you go. You have the direct line to Aaron Hardin. And if you have any questions at all, he's a great guy to know and can answer those questions for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, people like us, we're changing the world. So let me know how I can help you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And if you are taking your idea seriously and you want to know what to do next, I kind of hinted at it earlier in the program, but I have something for you called Invention Idea to Profitable Product. And you can find out more about that if you go to imua-services.com/3 ways. So the 3 ways is a free training I have for you. And then it kind of feeds into the bigger training. So I hope to see you over there. Thanks for listening. And until the next episode, Imua.
Mahalo for joining us. If you're new to riding the waves of medical device product development, or if you've been in development for a while already, Inspired by Imua is here to surf with you. Want to be a master of the waves? Text HANG10, that's HANGTEN, to 44222. We'll send you the most common wipeouts companies make in product development so you can avoid them and reach master wave status. Again, that's HANG10 to 44222. We publish a new episode every Tuesday, so catch us at inspiredbyimua.com. Imua!